All right, guys, Leonidas Leatherworks here. Do you have a Tippman Boss hand stitcher that is giving you some grief? Not uncommon, right? The tips I'm about to share with you are very likely going to help you out and make life a little bit easier with this machine. Okay, so let's get to it. Number one, this is a machine that loves consistency. So whichever thread you're going to be using, I recommend that you pick a thread that has all the color options available that you're going to want. It's the size, everything about it's what you're going to want so that you can stay with that particular type of thread. Whether that's a 277, a 346, a bonded nylon, a polyester, whatever it is, and then you stick with that. Because once you get it adjusted and dialed in, and you're matching the size and type of thread up top with the size and type of thread in your bobbin, and then you dial in your tensions. If you can just keep it there and leave it, great. The moment you end up trying to change from, okay, you've got your tensions dialed in, and then you change your thread type to a more, perhaps you were using a very smooth, silky type of bonded nylon, and now you just transition to a very rugged, thick type of polyester, you're going to be starting to have to adjust a lot of these tensions, and the bobbin things are going to get a little bit more complicated. The Tippman Boss seems to be somewhat random. Sometimes you can operate it for quite a while and have no problems, even with different thread types and things, but then all of a sudden you're going to have issues. So one, go for some consistency, see if that in and of itself eliminates a handful of problems. Okay, two, start with a simple thing here. This right here is thread net spool saver. Okay, this white material that I've got over this spool. It's available on Amazon. Typically used by people doing all kinds of sewing just to keep their thread decent, their spools tidy. Here in this case, this thread net is going to truly prevent your string from getting looped around any of this external stuff, anywhere you don't want your thread to be. Okay, the Boss Stitcher is subject to quite a bit of vibration and movement. As you are rocking this handle back and forth, you get going, you're slamming this thing down and slamming all the way up, right? This handle is meant to be pulled all the way down, full down, all the way back up, full stop, right? Boom, boom, boom. So, in doing so, without this spool saver here, that thread, as you're focused on the material and where you're stitching, unbeknownst to you, you can get a loop or two that gets just hung up down. It came loose from the vibration and the movement of the machine and gets looped around here. And then suddenly you have a change in some tension, and maybe you don't even notice that you've looped around something, and you start playing with your tensions. It just becomes very chaotic, and then you go, oh shoot, there it is right there after some trouble. So it's inexpensive. It comes in a very big amount, and you can cut those lengths to whatever length you need, and then it's very nice. You can put one on each of your thread spools and just have it a part of that. It keeps the thread nice. Another little tip here, I use a little hacksaw type of a tool. Cut you a little slice in the bottom of all your spools and tuck your thread loose end into that. It's going to stay real nice. Okay, so that's number one. Well, I guess that's tip number two. Okay, so moving on to tip number three to keep this thing going well. Let's take a look at the top. This is the secondary tensioner, primary tensioner. Let's take a quick look at those a little more up close. Okay, so I have my thread here, and I've followed the instructions, right? You can see we've gone through the backside, front side, and back to the backside again with there. We're going to come around this post. Now, on this secondary tensioner, the factory type of default mode is to have this spring here. You loosen it enough so that you have no tension on it whatsoever, and the moment it touches this spring, give it 2. And so you'll need to put a little marker or something on this, so use a Sharpie, right? Put a little marker on top of that nut, and you go around 1 time, 2 times, and then a 1/4 turn. Okay, so that is like the factory default recommended type tension. Now I'm going to take this string, right, take my thread, and I'm going to pull it into there nicely. I'm going to hold that while I kind of pull it tight. Now go finish that full round turn. Don't immediately proceed to the primary tensioner, because then that thread is only kind of through there and on the back side, and it can slip out. As you're rocking this machine, right, this nut 1 can kind of slowly start to loosen. It very well may, and then that can pop out and you won't even know it, and you'll have this thread kind of just very loosely in place and not really holding any tension. So go a full round turn around that secondary tensioner. Okay, now 1 full round turn clockwise around that guy there. The factory kind of default recommended tension on this guy is, again, make it so there's absolutely no tension on it. There's a hair touching the spring finally, and then 2 full turns. That's 1 and 2. Some folks will put wing nuts on top of these so they can use the wing nut. Some guys will remove those completely and just use the wing nut. Some folks have even gone as far as to put like a locking type of washer and nut on top of these to keep them where they want them. So far, I have not found that to be necessary. Okay, now, before I proceed, I will tell you, so right now I've gone 1 full round turn around the secondary tensioner. If I were to start having what you might deem significant tension issues, and you feel like you need more tension, one of the things before I really start touching this or this one is I would just back this out, this thread, and I would go around this secondary tensioner twice and see what that does for you. A little bit of experimentation has to go on, because depending on your thread type, depending on many different factors, the thickness of your leather, it really is a case-by-case type situation. Okay, so from there you just finish threading as recommended. Okay, let's take a look at another time. All right, guys, just want to pause for a moment and ask you, if you are enjoying this video, please hit like, hit subscribe, and I'm going to keep bringing you good tips for all kinds of leather work. So, all right, back to tips for the Tippman Boss Stitcher. All right, guys, so here we are. So you've been having trouble with your machine and the tensions. You've played with this and that, top tension, primary, secondary. Maybe you've done your double loop on that secondary tensioner, but things just haven't been right. So maybe you've been down here playing around with the bobbin tension. Makes sense, right? When you go to adjust the bobbin tensions, make sure that you do it in very small increments, and stitch a bit on some scrap, on whatever, and don't make a lot of adjustment and be hasty about it. Okay, right? You'll know if you've been down here playing with this that you have to unlock the bobbin tension with a counterclockwise turn of the tension locking nut screw. Okay, and then you adjust the tension with this screw by turning it clockwise, right? You're screwing it in. Do that in small increments, like I said, and be patient. Really try to examine other causes and other ways to adjust the tension, like the double loop on the secondary tensioner, like examining your thread. Right? Do you have a mismatched thread? Are you using thread that's really quite soft and smooth and silky? Maybe try changing over to a beefier polyester thread. If you're going to do that, again, I would say, okay, make the change and then stay with that. But if you're just still having problems, one of the things that you might have gotten inadvertently into the weeds with is, unbeknownst to you, as you try to increase the tension of the bobbin, you can only do that so much, but you won't have a lot of feedback from the screw. So you can increase the tension and increase the tension and increase the tension, and then at some point you're going to think you're increasing the tension, and the way that screw goes into the bobbin and that bobbin plate, you are going to be causing a move in such a way that screwing the screw in further lifts the plate away from the bobbin, and you will have not enough bobbin tension. You'll get extra loops down at the bottom as you're pulling that lever. You'll get just knots and ties up. You'll be snapping thread, those kind of things. If that's happening, one thing might be is that your bobbin tension became overly tightened to the point that it let tension way off of that thread, right? The bobbin tension should be something, if I can get a hold of this screen, right? So, right, you should be able to pull on this thread and have a little, yeah, I mean, it's easy to pull, but there's some resistance there. Okay, if it pulls really easy, then that may indeed be the issues, that you don't have enough bobbin tension because you screwed that screw in too far. So back it out quite a bit, relock your bobbin tension nut, reset your primary and secondary tension nuts to their kind of factory recommended defaults. Again, for the secondary, it's 2 1/4 turns from the moment you actually touch the nut to the spring, 2 1/4, and on the primary, 2 full turns. Again, take that Sharpie, mark those so you can know what's going on. So kind of do a full reset, if you will. Make sure this does require some lubrication. If you haven't ever lubricated at all and you've done a lot of stitching and are having issues, just throw a little bit of lube in there. Make sure that's not contributing somehow to the issue. But otherwise, okay, we'll head back up top and have a few more tips for you. Okay, guys, final tip, or I should say tips for this machine, are just kind of some general statements. One, lighting, right? This is the little lighting kit that comes through Tippmann for this machine. You know, it's all right. It does do a good job putting extra light down here on your actual workpiece space. I recommend that if you would like more light, one, that you have good lighting in your shop. I have several overhead LED lighting strips. You can get those on Amazon. I'll put links, if I can, at the bottom of this video to the thread net spool, to the LED lighting that I use in my shop. And also you can take a look on Amazon, and we'll see if there's some links I have for these. But you can get any manner of these reading type lights that you can attach anywhere to the working table space, and they're flexible, and you can get a little bit better lighting on your workspace. Okay, but those LED strips that I use on my ceiling of the shop, beautiful. Okay, highly recommend them. Another tip for this machine is, as you're using it, I recommend that as much as possible you really kind of tune into the machine. Your eyes are going to be down here. You're going to be needing to use one hand to kind of guide the piece and make sure you have some kind of a consistent feed going on. If you can both feel and listen to the machine and the things that are going on, you should be able to get into a little bit of a steady rhythm, and things sound and they feel the same. When things are going good, the moment you feel something happening a little bit different, you might kind of pause, check that the threads are around primary and secondary tensioners like they're supposed to be, that your tension nuts haven't backed off and come loose. Give things a quick once over. If you're hearing something different, if you're feeling something different, it's possible that something has changed in the system, and you can get ahead of it by just stopping right then and there, kind of take a quick look. On occasion, I stop and like, okay, yeah, no, it was just me. But several times, it's really helped me to stop and kind of go, okay, whoa, something felt different there. Oh, okay, this thread is doing this thing. Okay, the thread net will help. Okay, be patient with this machine, and it really can be a good machine when you kind of know some of these nuances and you take your time. Right? Do know some of the troubles I've ever had have been when I've really been rocking at a trying, time is of the essence and I'm running out of time and I'm really just trying to do this fast, right? Those full down and full up strokes are very important. And when you're going fast, yeah, you're just introducing more vibration and things into this machine. So you can go steady, but don't overdo it. Be patient, take your time, tune into the machine, and my experience is actually, even though I have a Cobra Class 4, there are still times when I come back to this machine for this is what I'm going to use on this particular workpiece today, because this machine does offer benefits of a little bit more control in the piece. This particular presser foot that I have installed here, I love it. Very little marking on the workpiece as I go. So definite advantages to the Boss, but be ready to be patient and know as many little tricks and experiment and see what works for you. Okay, thanks. All right, that brings us to the end of this video. Again, please like and subscribe. Your support is crucial to helping me be able to continue to make videos like this. Going to focus a lot more this year on the YouTube channel and getting things put up to the YouTube channel that are very useful for leather makers, leather workers geared towards fire service, and other types of leather work. All right, thanks.